Wait, did Samsung just make a huge mistake with its new foldable phones? I'm talking about the upcoming Z Fold 8 and Z Flip 8 that everyone has been waiting for. Here's the thing. Samsung is apparently planning to use the same old display technology for the third year in a row. Yes, you heard that right. The same M13 OLED panels from 2024 are coming back again in 2026. While its flagship S26 Ultra gets the shiny new M14 displays, foldable users might be left with older tech. But before you get upset, there's actually more to this story than meets the eye. Today, we're going to break down everything you need to know about Samsung's display decision for its 2026 foldables. We'll talk about why it's doing this, what it means for you as a user, and whether this is actually as bad as it sounds. So stick around because this might change how you think about Samsung's upcoming foldable phones. Let me start by giving you the full picture of what's happening here. According to ET News, a Korean publication that has been pretty accurate with Samsung leaks, the company is planning 3 new foldable devices for this summer. We're getting the Z Flip 8, the Z Fold 8, and something called the Z Fold 8 Wide. Now, all 3 of these devices are expected to use Samsung's M13 OLED display material. This is the same technology that debuted back in 2024 with the Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6. So by the time these new phones launch, we'll be looking at 3 full generations using the exact same display. Meanwhile, Samsung's S26 Ultra is getting the newer M14 display material. But here's where it gets interesting. The regular S26 and S26 Plus are also sticking with M13 displays. So it's not just the foldables getting the older tech. Let me explain what the difference between M13 and M14 actually means for everyday use. The M14 material is reportedly 20 to 30% brighter than M13. That might not sound like much, but it can make a real difference when you're using your phone outdoors in bright sunlight. The newer material is also more power efficient, which is huge for battery life. And here's something most people don't think about. M14 displays are said to last 10 to 20% longer than M13. That means less chance of screen burn-in and better long-term durability. For foldable phones that already have unique durability challenges, this could have been a nice improvement. So why is Samsung making this decision? Well, the answer probably comes down to money, and it's not just Samsung being cheap. The entire tech industry is dealing with rising component costs right now. RAM prices have gone up significantly because of increased demand from AI companies and server farms. CPU costs are also climbing for similar reasons. Even storage components are getting more expensive. So Samsung is likely trying to balance costs to keep its foldable phones at reasonable prices. Think about it this way. If Samsung used M14 displays plus more expensive RAM and processors, the final price could be way higher than most people want to pay. By sticking with M13 displays, it might be able to include 12 to 16 gigs of RAM without having to raise prices too much. This is actually a pretty smart business move when you look at the bigger picture. We're already seeing Samsung raise prices on some of its other devices. The recently announced Galaxy A37 and Galaxy A57 both cost more than their predecessors. Mid-range and budget phones are getting hit the hardest because there's less profit margin to work with. Premium foldables at least have more room to absorb some cost increases. But let's talk about whether this is actually a big deal for regular users. The truth is, OLED displays in 2026 are already pretty great across the board. Even the M13 panels are bright enough for most people in most situations. Screen burn-in, which used to be a major concern with OLED displays, isn't really a problem anymore. Most users probably won't notice the difference between M13 and M14 in day-to-day use. The improvements, while real, are more incremental than revolutionary. And here's something the reports mention that's actually pretty encouraging. Even though Samsung is using the same M13 material, it has been continuously improving the technology. A source told EC News that the M13 panels in 2026 will have improved performance compared to when they were first released. They're also using less material to achieve the same performance, which suggests better manufacturing efficiency. So while it's technically the same generation of display tech, it's not exactly the same panels from 2024. Think of it like a car model that gets small improvements each year even though it keeps the same name. Now let's consider what this means for the 3 different foldable models Samsung is planning. The Z Flip 8 is probably the least affected by this decision. Flip phones are usually used more like regular smartphones, so the display demands aren't as intense. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 might be more impacted since people often use these devices for productivity tasks where brighter screens can be helpful. And the Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide is interesting because we don't know much about it yet. Some rumors suggest it might be Samsung's answer to devices like the Huawei Mate X series. If that's the case, having the best possible displays would be important for positioning it as a premium device. But Samsung might be betting that other improvements will be more noticeable to users. Better cameras, faster processors, improved software, and maybe better build quality could all be more important than display material. Let's also think about the competition here. Other foldable phone makers are dealing with the same component cost increases. If everyone has to make similar compromises, Samsung's decision starts to look more reasonable. And Samsung still has advantages in manufacturing since it makes its own displays. It can optimize the M13 panels specifically for its foldable designs. Other companies buying displays from suppliers might not have that same level of control. Another thing to consider is that Samsung might be saving its newest display tech for future devices. Maybe it's planning something special for 2027 that will make the wait worthwhile. Or it could be focusing its M14 production capacity on devices with higher profit margins. The Galaxy S26 Ultra probably has better margins than foldables, so it makes business sense to put the premium tech there first. Here's what I think this means for people considering buying these new foldables. If you currently have a Z Fold 5 or older, the Z Fold 8 will still be a significant upgrade in most areas. The display might not be the latest tech, but it will still be better than what you're used to. If you have a Z Fold 6 or Z Flip 6, the display upgrade might not be as compelling. You'd be buying for other improvements like cameras, performance, or new software features. And if having the absolute latest display technology is crucial for your use case, you might want to wait and see what happens in 2027. The reality is that most smartphone upgrades these days are incremental rather than revolutionary. Even if Samsung used M14 displays, the real-world difference might not be as dramatic as the specs suggest. What matters more is the overall package and how well it fits your needs and budget. So there you have it, the full story behind Samsung's display decision for its 2026 foldables. While it might seem disappointing on paper, the reality is probably more nuanced than the headlines suggest. Samsung is dealing with rising component costs, just like everyone else in the industry. By sticking with proven M13 technology, it can potentially offer better value in other areas. And let's be honest, the displays on current Samsung foldables are already pretty impressive. Incremental improvements to the same technology might be enough for most users. What do you think about Samsung's decision? Are you disappointed that the new foldables won't get M14 displays? Or do you think it's a smart move to keep costs under control? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay updated on all the latest Samsung news and foldable phone developments, subscribe and ring that notification bell. I'll be covering all the latest leaks and rumors as we get closer to the summer launch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.